How are you doing on this beautiful Friday afternoon? We have spent all week together, and I have to tell you, it has been a joy being able to be a part of your world this entire week, teaching you something new, both to you and to me, because I'm learning from Caitlin right along with you, and it's pretty darn exciting. So I am going to go ahead and kind of do some housekeeping stuff here while we allow everybody's subscribers bell notification, that's the word, notification, to let them know that we are live on air. And if you have not yet subscribed to the Marley Bird YouTube channel, it is not too late. It's very simple. Just click subscribe right here on the channel, and if you click that bell notification, YouTube is supposed to send you notifications whenever I go live. Just make sure that your settings are set up to receive those notifications, and everything should be good to go. Then you will know whenever I release a new video to help you become a better knitter or crocheter, if we go live for the podcast or for events like this, or I mean, what have you, just if on a whim I decide to come on air and just chit chat with you. You'll be one of the first to know. If you have not been following along all week, welcome. We're glad you are here today. We have been learning how to make stitch markers in a bunch of different ways. Caitlin is our resident jewelry maker, so to speak, and she is taking all the skills that she has learned over the years and teaching us how to add some jewelry to our knitting and to our crochet. So far, we've learned how to do leather tassels. We've learned how to do polymer clay. We've learned wire wrapping and gosh, what else? I mean, I feel like I'm losing my mind.
We did macrame.
Macrame, that's right. And today we are going to hammer some metal and do what's called metal stamping. I'm super excited to see this. As you guys know, I've talked about it a little bit, that whenever I go to Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, wherever, like a craft store anywhere, I always walk through the jewelry aisle, and I am mesmerized by the tools and stuff. I know how some of them work, but not all of them. And these are some of the ones I've seen on the shelves, on the racks, in the jewelry section, that I'm like, that looks so cool, but I have no idea even where to start. So I'm excited to learn more from Caitlin today. Before we jump in, I will let you know we have a link in the video description box right down there below that you can click, and it will take you to the main page for the DIY Stitch Marker event. On that page, you will see links to every day of the stitch marker event. So if you happen to miss a day, or you want to go back and rewatch a day, you can click the links on those days, and it will take you to where there's another page. It takes you for all the information you need to make those stitch markers. So don't feel like you have to take notes and everything right now as you're watching. Literally sit back, relax, enjoy the show, have yourself a mug of coffee or a soda of choice. I don't even care. And it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Have a drink if you want. And let's have a good time with Caitlin. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Caitlin, and I'm going to start saying hello to everybody in the chat room.
Hey everybody, here we are, day 5. We're ending our week. I've had a great week so far. I hope you're all having a great week too. I love metal stamping and getting to play around with it. I don't get to do it much, but I've gotten to take a couple classes with it and have some of the materials. So I thought this would be a great way to get you guys interested and excited in it. And I do want to preface this that we're not actually stamping words or pictures or anything like that. We're just going to be doing texturing today, because that's the most basic way to get into metal stamping and where you can start yourself off if you have no experience doing this, and it requires the least amount of tools as well. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We've been working on different projects, and we've been talking about different stitch markers and different things that we can do. And before we get started, I want to run through the different types of stitch markers that you can make when it comes to how you attach it to your project. And down here, hold on, switch over. Okay, hopefully you can still hear me. Are we all good? Okay, so down here you'll see, oh, hold on, I got to put these headphones in. Sorry guys, I forgot. You would think by Friday. Remember this? Okay, there we go. Okay, we should be better now. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. So hopefully you can see down here at my work area, And these are what we're going to be making. So we have this blank here that I've textured and put some little divots in, which I know it's a little hard to see, but hopefully as the glare goes on it, you can see the texture there. And we're also going to be making one like this, where this is the same principle, just a different texture to it. And I'll show you how to do that. But before we get started, let's just go over stitch markers again and the different ways that you can put attachments to it. And so on these two that we're going to be making today, we have the jump ring on the top of it. And so that would be great for knitting stitch markers. But if you want to do crochet stitch markers, you're going to want to use what's called either a lobster clasp or an earring finding. And this earring finding is a one that opens up like this, and you can just open it and close it. And then you would use this end to slide onto your project. Or once it's closed, you can also slide this onto your knitting needles. So this is really great if you do both knit and crochet, because then you can just have one type with you all the time. So those are the different types of closures or attachments we've been putting on it, so you can attach it to your knitting and crochet. And so I think we're ready to get started on our project here. So today we are fortunate enough to have teamed up with Impress Art. We've got something at the end, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. But Impress Art is a metal stamping company, and they have every tool that you need to do metal stamping. As you can see, maybe their logo here, Impress Art, and we'll have all the links to them and all the products that they have. But we're going to be using all of their materials today. And this is how I got started with metal stamping, was with Impress Art. So it seemed fitting that we would try to get them involved and get you guys a little something out of the deal too. Okay, so what you're going to need to make this project is a few simple tools, okay? We're going to need what's called a steel block. And this is the surface that you're going to be hammering on. And this gives the resistance against the metal as the hammer hits it, so that it actually makes a mark into your piece. If you were doing it on something soft like this wood, you're really not going to get a ton of texture into your piece because it's not hard enough to give the resistance. I have mine on a rubber block. When you buy these steel blocks here, they do come with little foot pads to go underneath it, but I already had this rubber square, so that's what I'm going to use. And the reason you put something under it, either the rubber pieces, or some people will use a sandbag, like a small sandbag made for this, is to help dampen the sound of what you're doing. And it also just keeps it off of your tabletop from anything ruining that as well. Okay, so we have that. We're also going to need a multi-hammer that Impress Art has. And why it's called a multi-hammer is because it comes with multiple heads. So here we have a texture head, which I'm going to show you first. You also get a nylon head, a ball peen head, and a chasing hammer head. So you get all four of these heads with this hammer. And so this is a great starter set, even if you're not doing metal stamping, just to do any kind of metal work, this is what you're going to need. Now, if you are going to do letters, like, let me show you. So this is the first piece I ever made. Can you see the word there? Is it going to focus? It says family on it. And that's the first piece I ever made. It's a bracelet. And to do this, you do need some different materials. You obviously need the letters, but that's when you're going to use what's called a brass hammer. And this is much heavier to be able to stamp letters into your piece. Now, you could use this to do some texturing with the stamps, but we're not going to be using that right now. We're going to use that a little bit later for part of a different project. But so this is what I recommend if you're going to just do texturing, is this multi-function hammer, because you get all of these different heads that we're going to be using. Okay, so we're going to start off using this head here, which maybe you can see how it has this texture to it. And we're going to hammer our metal, and that's going to give texture to the metal. Now, this head here is what I used on this stitch markers. So you can see this is in the photo as well in the blog post, but it gives a really cool like confetti look to it. And what I'm going to show you is we're going to do 3 different textures just so you can see. And I'm going to do that texture on this piece. So also, these are called, let me try to move.
this light a little bit. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, so when you shop from Impress Art, there's 3 different blanks. You can get copper blanks, brass blanks, and aluminum blanks. They also, which I can't remember where, they also have what's called an alchemy blank. Alchemy. This is just a little bit of a step up from the just the regular blanks that they have. So it's just a little harder to work with. So we're going to use the aluminum blanks instead if you're starting out, or the copper and the brass are also really good soft metals to get started with. Okay, so I'm going to start with my copper blank, and I'm going to show you that we're going to actually make a necklace out of these 3 pieces today. But it's the exact same thing that I did. It's just a different way of attaching it. And so we're going to start here with our texturing hammer with our texture stamp in there, which I'll show you how to load and take that out in just a second. And I'm going to start hammering. Now, you can also purchase this from Impress Art, which is their stamp straight tape. And what this is really good for is, especially if you're doing letters or things like that, so you can keep your piece straight on your table, you can just take this piece of tape and tape the top and bottom down. And now my piece isn't going to move around, and I don't have to keep my finger in here and risk hitting it, because, you know, who wants that? It's also not going to make a mark on your metal, and I'm going to be able to texture right through the tape, and I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so as we hammer it, it's going to make noise. Hopefully it all goes well with the sound, but I'm sorry if it's loud. We're doing our best here, and we're going to be hammering metal. Okay, so I'm going to hold my hammer in the back here, and this just gives me better leverage when using the multi-function hammer. And I'm just gently gripping it like I'm shaking hands, which, you know, you can't shake hands with anybody right now, but you can shake hands with your hammer. And we're just going to hit the hammer with a good amount of force to make a mark. Now, you're not going to want to hammer this like super duper hard, because you could bend the metal, but you have to hit it hard enough that it makes a mark. So as you can see, hopefully, that there's no marks on here. And if I just hit it like that, you can see I barely made a mark right there. So you have to hit it with some force. And I'm just going to hammer it all the way around until I get the texturing that I want all around. Okay, so I can always stop and I can look at the texture, and I can come back and add more texture to it. It's not something where once it's done, I can't do it. Now I missed the top here, so I'm gonna just hold it with my finger so I can see what I'm doing. And if yours has a hole in it, like this one does here at the top, you can see it right there. You do want to be careful when you're hammering that you don't hit it too hard, that you forge the metal so that you don't no longer have a hole, because then you're not going to be able to use it. I mean, I'm going to show you how to poke holes in it if it doesn't have a hole in it, but you don't want to do that. And you also want to be careful as you hit the edges, because if you hit right on the edge, you're actually going to move the metal, and it could get wonky shaped around the edge instead of the nice edge that it has. And so when you hammer, whether it's with a texture hammer, whether it's with the other surfaces we're going to use, or whether it's with words and letters and symbols, you're moving the molecules of the metal, and you're what's called work hardening it and forging the metal into a new shape with this texture. So it's really cool.
I gotta unmute everything. I was gonna say, you're throwing out all these big words, and it's very exciting. I'm like, forging the metal. Everybody is very excited that you're doing this. They love the fact that they get to buy more tools now. Like, yay! Everybody's like, more tools. And they're hoping that everybody is having a great day. Crafty Chat Craft says, is there such a thing as a magnetic cushion?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I've only ever seen the rubber mats like this, and they're actually quite thick. It's not like a thin piece of rubber, and it's very dense. or a sandbag. Those are the only two things I've ever used in my metalworking experience.
Okay.
But potentially.
Awesome. And then Michelle Sanders would like to know, does the texture go through to the back side?
No, it does not.
Awesome. And Barbara
So
Doll.
I guess if you hit it hard enough, it would, because if you hit it, that one's too old now, but if you hit it with stamps to it, you can, like letters, you'll start to see it on the back because you've got to hit letters way harder than you have to hit texture.
Okay.
But that's why also usually you don't show like the back of things, but you can also use the nylon hammer to try to get some of that out as well.
Awesome. And then Barbara Doll says the right tools for the right job. Fantastic.
That's
So
right.
they're excited about this. I just was like, okay, I want to pop in. All right. So back to you, my friend.
Okay. So that was using this like confetti texture to it. But now I want to show you what it looks like when we use what's called a ball peen. Okay. And so a lot of times you'll get a hammer and it'll have this end on one side, which is called a chasing hammer, which is a slightly domed metal top. And on the other side, it'll be this ball peen side. And it usually goes like that with a handle down the middle. So it's usually one hammer. But in this case, I get both of these plus the other ones all in my multifunction hammer. So we're going to use the ball peen. And all you need to do is unscrew. Hold on. Okay, unscrew. You have to screw it in tight. So it just takes a little bit to get your hands on it. So I'm unscrewing this until I can pull out my top. It'll release and I pull out my stamp. Now this one is a stamp. It has the texture on it. So I could use this and actually hammer it with the brass hammer if I wanted to, but that's going to take me a lot longer. So I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to put my ball peen head in. You'll see here there's a notch on the bottom of this. That needs to go down when I put it into my hammer so that as I screw this up, it's locking that into place. Okay. So I'm tightening this up as much as I can. I'm going to put my next blank down and I'm going to use, oh, that's not the side I want. You can tell that there's a back side, which is kind of flat, and a front side, which has a very slight bevel to it. You can use whichever side you want. It doesn't matter, but I prefer and feel like the slightly beveled side is the front side. So however you want to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing, but now I'm using the ball peen hammer, which is going to make the little dents like this one. Okay, so we're doing the same thing. I'm just going to take my hammer and I'm going to hit it all over. Especially with the ball peen hammer, you want to be careful how close you get to the edge. Using this hammer will make it very easy to change the shape of the metal, especially around the edge. Unless that's what you want to do, then go for it. It gives a really awesome texture, but only if you want to do it, you know? And if it happens, then just go with it all the way around and you'll have a great look at the end anyway. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm just kind of watching as I go that I'm getting in all the spots, that I'm not leaving any kind of big holes or anything. And I'm just making sure that I'm not going right over the hole of the metal or of the blank, because again, I still want to have my hole. Okay, so now you can see that I've got this great little texture here on my piece. And when you work with like the ball peen hammer, you have the chance, I didn't really do it on this one, but your metal might start to curve because you're hitting it this way. So it's pushing the metal this way and it might start to dome just a little bit. And if that happens, let me show you what to do. You'll flip it over so that your back side is facing up. I'm going to open up my hammer again, pull out the ball peen, and I'm going to use my nylon hammer. And a nylon hammer head or hammer is really great because You're not going to make a mark on the metal when you hit it, but it's going to help you re-get the shape that you're looking for. So a lot of times if you need to size a ring or something like, or a bracelet, you're going to use a nylon hammer because you're not going to put a mark on your piece, and it's going to help you get things back into the shape that you want. So it's the same thing here. And I just take it and I just hit it until I get it back flat into the shape that I wanted. So now it's completely flat again on the back, no problems. And see if we can get it to focus. I have this really great texture. So now I have the start of my necklace or my stitch markers, and we're setting it like this so that you'll have two pieces of textured metal on top of each other, just like that. Okay, so we're going to do one more. I'm going to show you with the last piece here, our aluminum piece, what it looks like if we use what's called as a chasing hammer. This is another very common hammer that you would find in metalworking to forge your metal and bend it into different shapes. But it also can give you different textures to it. So I'm going to hammer straight down using this side of the hammer, just like this. And you'll see that it's giving me much bigger dimples than the ball head hammer. And I could leave this like this, or I can completely texture the entire thing using my hammer. Okay, so while I'm doing that, I also want to call out that if you turn your hammer slightly on the side and hit here, you can put lines into your metal too. So just like that. So now I've got both lines and dimples in my piece, just like that. Isn't that cool? And then again, you could keep texturing this more if you want to, or less if, you know, whatever you want to do. And now I've got all three of my pieces. What I would then do if I'm going to make a necklace, or if I'm going to make stitch markers, is I need some jump rings. And Impress Art makes their own jump rings, so you can get it all from them, no problems. These are a 0.999 fine silver. So this is actually more pure than sterling silver. Sterling silver is a 0.925. So this is actually more pure because it's a 0.999. Just so you know, they are going to be a little bit more expensive than some of the generic type of stitch markers, but that's why. So as always, when I'm using a jump ring, I'm going to grab it with my 2 pliers and I'm going to twist it. I'm not going to pull it. I'm going to twist one towards me, one away. And then if I wanted to, if I'm going to use this as a necklace, I can put all of my pieces onto one jump ring and close it up. And now you have a nice little necklace piece. Now in this case, I put mine just onto a jump ring, or in this case, 2 jump rings. It depends on how many you want to do. And then I have a nice stitch marker. Now here's another idea too. Let me grab my chain here. So through Impress Art, they also make, of course, now it got all tangled up. They make ball chain is what I'm trying to tell you right here. Ball chain. And if you don't let it all fall together, you can keep your 2 pieces apart. Okay, here we go. So they make this ball chain to make your own necklace. I think they have a couple different lengths, but regardless, you can get ball chain a lot of places, but theirs is very nice. It matches back to their metal. And all you need to do is open it up. It's a lobster clasp like we talked about. And then you would take the end here and you can feed it through your jump ring to make a necklace. So I could take this stitch marker, feed it through the ball chain, and turn it into this really cute necklace that I can wear. And then when I need a stitch marker, I just take my necklace off and take my pendant piece off. And now I have a stitch marker for my knitting project. Or, you know, you could even do this with a crochet project too, if you wanted to. And then you've always got your stitch markers with you for whatever project you need to do. Okay, are there any questions about that?
I have to mute everything. It takes me just a little bit. So people are loving this. This is really awesome. They find it very interesting. There is a question here. See, Josie Moore says, on some blanks, there's a difference in the finishes from the two sides. Do you know more?
Yes,
about that?
in some blanks there are, but you can see here, like this one is very shiny on both sides, so it doesn't matter. Again, it's just kind of the edge look that you want. It depends on what blanks you go and purchase. You can get a ton of different shapes, a ton of different sizes that you would be able to play around with.
Cool. Teresa Flores says, are both sides being textured for a stitch marker? I actually kind of like that idea too.
I did not. The problem that will happen is you can kind of see-ish that some of the front side, when I did it, you can kind of see it coming through the back. You have to be really careful if you're going to texture both sides or like write words, because you can actually take the texturing out of this side when I flip it over to work this side.
Okay.
So typically you only work one side, but you could go ahead and play around with it and see what you like and how you like it to look, but I only ever do one side.
Okay. Donna Doolittle says that she likes the hammer. She's never seen an interchangeable one before. I do too. I like all the tools. Like Caitlin gets all the cool tools. I mean, I get cool tools too, but not this kind of cool tools. These are cool tools. Let's see here. Tracy Lugwood says, where did you get the tint tassel?
The purple one here, or fuchsia one. This I think I got from Jesse James Beads.
Ooh, I love those beads.
They sell like little what they call a mini mix, and so it comes with beads and it comes with tassels in it, and so I just kind of collect them to use. Like I also made these earrings with the same technique that you can see. I mean, it's exactly the same as the stitch marker one, but I used a different colored tassel from them, and you've got little matching earrings too to your necklace if you want to do it.
Very cool. Let me, hold on. I'm coming back up here. I know there was another question. Oh, people want to know if there is like a beginner, like, would you recommend is there like a beginner kit for impress art, something like this?
Yes, we will have that linked in the blog post. All right, I'll tell you now, we're giving away one. But yes, there's beginner kits. You have to just look at them. There's, I believe, 2 different types of beginner kits, one more for just general stamping and one that comes with a letter set. So it just depends on what you want to do. If you're going to stamp words and things like that, you could go with the letter set. If not, you could go with just more of the general set as well.
Awesome. 2 more things. One, Julie Mendez says that a bracelet with stitch markers would be really cool. I would like that too. It'd make me think of like a charm bracelet.
Yeah, and that's actually part of the giveaway that we talked about. I didn't get one in my box, so I'm not sure. But if you use the Lobster Clasps like this, they have a really great bracelet blank, I'm going to call it. I don't know what else to do, but it's a nice charm bracelet that if you use your Lobster Clasp and put those onto your jump rings instead, you'd be able to attach that to the bracelet and have a really cool dangly bracelet that you could carry all your stitch markers with you.
Awesome. And then Helen Henry is asking, will you show the ball and chain parts again, please?
The ball and chain. The necklace?
I don't know. That's the question. The ball.
Maybe she could clarify, unless she's talking about the ball peen hammer.
So pretty.
I'm not
tiny.
really sure.
Okay.
Yeah, if you take care of your stuff, it'll stay nice and shiny for a long time. And like, I mean, I take care of my stuff, but not like super duper, like everything has to be cleaned and whatever. So it does stay nice for, you know, a nice long time. It's good. Yeah. It's good quality items. And I mean, although we'd love you to use our links that we're going to have in the blog post to go ahead and purchase all of these items, I will say that you can get I think everything that we're talking about today at your local Michaels store, they carry a huge selection of Impress Art blanks, hammers, stamps, everything that you can go and get there. And I
The
do just
difference
want to
there, guys, is if you use our link, it lets Impress Art know that we like you
right,
actually heard about it from us, which is a big deal because it helps
right.
them know that
So
their
at
support is good.
at the very least, please click through our links and like browse that way to figure out what you want
Please.
so that they know you're at least like checking it out from us. But this is another, you can buy stamp sets, and this is a texture pack. And so you get 4 different stamps in here, and they're different sizes. So these are, they're not different sizes, they're different textures. These are all 6mm stamps, which is what you need. This is also a 6mm. And so that's telling you the diameter of the head here. You can get different sizes. Letters are like 4mm, but they also have bigger ones. But anyway, because these are 6mm, they're going to fit right here into your multifunction hammer. And you can use these different texture stamps that they have. It's not just this pack. They have a couple of them to do the same thing that we did today, to get different textures to your piece.
That's awesome. And Helen says, yes, the necklace parts, please.
Okay, so this is their ball chain that you can get from their website, and it has an adjuster here at the back, so you can make it longer or shorter. And you just take your clasp here, and you see this little piece sticking up. You just pull that back with your thumb, and that's what opens your lobster clasp. And then you take the end that doesn't have your lobster clasp because it won't fit through, and you just take your jump ring and you just drop it right through the jump ring, pull it through, and then put it back together. And then you have your necklace. And because of the way that they make their ball chain necklaces, it makes it super easy to take your pendants on and off. Like if you want to do this with the 3 different sizes, you could put a different jump ring on each one and slide them on individually so that you could just take one off like this and use it as a stitch marker, but still have the other 2 pieces if you don't need both of them, or something like that. Or you could even throw this on the top of it, or have a bunch of different pendants, any way you want to do it. Okay, so I think Marley's still on mute, but that's okay. I did want to show you this as well. This is another blank that Impress Art has. This is their ring blank, and I used the ball peen hammer and I made this ring. Can you see the texturing on there? So it's exactly the same thing as I did here, but this is on an aluminum blank that I bent into a ring. And now I have that on. And like the letters that I showed you, you can get an array of different stamps. These are their Mandalas stamps that I've gotten to play around with. And so if it focuses, you can see the different shapes and patterns that you can make. And then you use one of their enamel markers, and you literally just write, like it looks like a Sharpie almost, and you just write on your pattern, let it sit, or your texture, let it sit a little bit and then wipe it off. And then you get it dark inside so you can really see it. Now, I've never used it with texture pieces themselves because usually it's not deep enough and it'll wipe right off. But when you use letters or shapes, you usually are hitting it harder, so you get a deeper impression and you're able to put the enamel in it. And this is black enamel, but they also have like 5 other colors. They've got like a green, a blue, a gold, a silver, and I don't know, maybe something else. I can't remember.
I love that. Denise
Yeah.
says that she thinks your ring came out great. Like it's really cute.
Thank you. I really like it too.
Yeah.
So
You know,
it's
one of
just
the great things I love about you doing all of this is the price range from all the different things we're doing. They're all over the board. I mean, as far as whether you want to go, I'm going to say very inexpensive. That's a much better word than cheap, but you know, like,
right.
You know, growing up, I'd have been like, it's either really cheap or really expensive. It's either inexpensive or a little bit more of an investment. I mean, that's the more PC way to say it, right? It all depends on kind of where you are and in your crafting and how far deep down the rabbit hole you want to go, right? That's how I feel.
Exactly.
And this is fantastic. Like, this is so much fun. I love that you made something that it doesn't have to be, I guess everything we've made so far, it doesn't have to be a stitch marker. It can be anything.
Right. And it's about taking it like one step further. And here, let me switch over the camera. No, I'll do it at the end. I have a necklace on that I'll show you that I have bead crochet in it. And then I put the Contastic end caps on that we made the other day. So there's multiple ways. Yeah, I have my bracelet on today too. Oh, but people can't see because
I have it on gallery.
Oh, okay. So I have my bracelet on too that we made.
Yep.
Just like that. So like there's all different ways to use the tools that we're talking about, whether it be for jewelry, for stitch markers, for jump rings, for many other things. And I like that too, because, if you go out and invest in hammers and a block and everything else, yeah, you could spend a good penny to get all different things, but you also have to think about it. Like, now I can make Christmas gifts, and now I can make all kinds of things with the same materials that I have, and the same techniques.
Right. I think it's fun too. Like, I love the idea of being able to do this. Like, this would be a really fun art project, even with kids, or like whenever we can get together as groups again, or even just Zoom meetings like this, like everybody doing their own thing, but you're able to like show what you're doing. Like, that's fun.
Right.
I love it.
Well, we do have one more thing to show.
Perfect. I was just about to ask.
Yeah. So I want to show you too how you can take these techniques and you can make your own buttons.
Okay, cool. I'm going back to your hand view.
Okay, cool. So when we work on a project, sometimes you need buttons and you don't know what to do. Sometimes it's not necessarily a functional button. It's just something to be pretty. So you can have that, or you can have a functional button, and you can actually do them with metal, and it turns out really awesome. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to use a heart blank this time, and we're still going to use our multifunction hammer, except I'm going to change back. What should we do? Should we do the confetti one or the ball peen? What do you think, Marley? We'll go with the ball peen. That's just real simple to throw in here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to texture it the same way, but we have to put holes in it. And so we're going to use a metal hole punch. And this again is Impress Art brands. There are other brands. I can't not tell you that. But this is their brand of hole punch, and it comes with 2 different sizes on either end. Now, the other day when we made the leather, you saw me use a hand punch like this, and this will cut through metal, thin metal. If you're going to be using a blank that's, it's still fairly thin, but it's got some more weight to it, you need to use a hole punch like this, or you will ruin your tools and it won't go all the way through. So you need to find one of these. They do have different sizes. This is a double-sided one, but you can find different sizes if you need I don't know if there's a smaller hole. There might be, or a larger hole as well. So I'm going to put that aside for right this minute. And to get started, what we're going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie, and I'm going to mark where I want to put my holes, because it's so much easier if you have your holes marked, because once you put it into your hole punch, it becomes a little bit difficult to see exactly where you want it to go. So if you have marks there, it makes it way easier. Now I'm going to put the holes in here. I'm going to do 2 holes or marks, and I'm going to do it like I would a button. If I wanted to take this blank and turn it into a stitch marker, I could put my hole right here up in the corner and just do 1 hole rather than 2 for the buttons, and still be able to do the same thing. But the heart blanks just don't come with pre-made holes, so we have to do it ourselves. So I'm going to eyeball where I want my holes to be. But if you want, like we talked about when I did the polymer clay beads, you can get tools that kind of put the holes in the same place all the time, or make your own little tool, or use a ruler to measure it out. But I'm not going to be that particular. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to put a dot here and a dot there. So I've got my 2 holes, or 2 dots for where I'm going to put my holes. That's it. Okay. I'm going to use the larger of the two holes just because if I'm going to be putting yarn through it or something else. And all I'm doing is I'm unscrewing this so that I can see a gap between the punch and the bottom. All right, now this is going to get a little tricky. I'm going to do my best to show you what I'm doing, but it's going to be inside the tool, so it makes it a little bit hard. So I'm sticking my blank inside the tool and I'm putting the punch right over my black dot that I made. And right now I'm not going to punch anything. I'm just bringing it down so that it kind of pinches the metal in place. And I can double check that I'm on the spot that I want. So I feel confident there. And I'm just going to keep twisting and twisting. Gets a little hard because you're punching through the metal. And twisting. And now I felt it get loose and you can see that my piece is moving. So I know it went all the way through. I'm going to release it. And as I come out, my piece falls off and I'm out of the punch. So now I have a hole. Can you see that? I'm going to do the same thing for the second dot. And the piece of the metal just falls out here at the bottom. So you will have like little pieces of metal in random places, but that's okay. It's all part of the fun. So again, I'm just going to put this in here. I got to bring it down because it's all the way out. And I'm going to bring it down so it holds it snug. And then I can line up my hole and I'm going to twist and it gets tight until I push through. And then once it's through, which I think I'm through, I can come back out and it'll push it off the end of my punch. And that's it. That's all I need my punch for. I'm going to just screw it back down so it's secure and I can put that aside. So now I have my two holes. I got rid of the black marks because I punched them out. And you'll see that there is some marring to my metal where it got scratched from my hole punch. And that's why we're going to texture it. And that's why I punched the holes first too, so that I can hide that scratching with my texture. And if I really need to, I can go back in and repunch the holes if I somehow mess them up, like with my hammering. But at least now I kind of have that fresh slate that I need to cover things up. So I'm just going to take my hammer like before. I'm going to grab a piece of my tape. And I'm going to just tape my piece down so that I don't have to put my finger in there. And I'm just going to hammer. Okay. I think that's good. Except I, of course, missed some spots under the tape. That is the downfall to the tape, is you can't see. But if I wanted to, instead of using my finger, I can now take the tape and put it on this side and rehammer again. Okay. So now I have my textured button. And I could use this just like this and put it on my piece, but why not make it special? And we're going to dome it. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. Hold on. I feel like I'm going to sneeze, guys. Okay. Anyway, so this is called a dapping block. Well, do they call it a dapping block? I forget. Normally it's called a dapping block. And normally this would have multiple sized wells to it to go ahead and do it if you're doing a lot of jewelry work and things like that. But Impress Art just recently came out with this awesome tool that allows you to do dapping with one size, but it really fits majority of their blanks. And what this is going to do is it's going to take it from being flat and it's going to dome it out. So let's show you what I mean. So you put your piece in here and you use this little tool that goes with it and you set this on top. You're using the nylon side, not the metal side, so that you don't mark it up. And now we need our brass hammer, and you need your brass hammer for this because it is way heavier and it's going to allow us to dome it. Now I got to pull this just, sorry, over here to the left so I don't hit my phone, but it's just here in the bottom of the well. I'm putting this on top and holding it tight, and I'm just going to take my hammer and hit it really hard. Okay, and so you can see that now I'm starting to shape it and it's starting to curve. So I'm going to put it back in. I'm going to move the piece just a little bit. I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to move it one more time so that I get the bottom into the curved well. And I'm going to hammer again. Sorry, guys, it's loud. But now you can see that my piece is no longer flat, it's domed. And I could keep doing that a little bit more because this really isn't that much of a dome to it. It's kind of hard to see on here, but I could do it more if I wanted to, but I don't want to have to keep hammering for you. But you just kind of keep it in here and you move it around. So I'm just slightly moving it around inside the well and rehammering straight in the middle. And that's what's changing the shape of my piece. Okay. So then I could take this and I could take some thread or some yarn. Using my holes, I can go ahead and sew this directly onto a project, a little bag. You could use it for anything you really want to use it for. And so that's how you would make a button with textured metal.
Dude, that's so cool. You're so cool, Caitlin. Everybody is loving it. They're like, wow, this is so cool. Brenda Davis says, I love that we can make buttons because she sews clothes. So that is really good. Let's see, is there information or resource booklet for beginners? No way I'm going to remember all this. Well, the good news is you can always go back and rewatch this for sure. But that's a very good question. Is there anything else out there? I mean, I haven't, full disclosure, I haven't looked at any other YouTube channels about this. I'm sure there has to be something out there. You probably know more than I do.
So, I mean, Impress Art is an awesome resource to be able to go. They actually helped me write a blog post so that I can put the full tutorial directions for making it this particular textured necklace and a textured button. So you'll have it line by line instructions, plus this video to go ahead and watch. They also have 3 Facebook Lives a week where Rita, she's their design person. She's amazing. I got to meet her in person and talk to her at Bead Fest in Philly. And she's just really awesome and cool. She does different projects with you. So she teaches you different techniques, how to use different metal stamps, shows you what they look like so you can go and purchase, shows you different projects to make, all kinds of things. So you can check out their Facebook page, which we can also link to, and you'll see. And they're also bringing out a brand new kit, I think like next week or in a week or two, that's really great for beginners. And let me just look here. I want to make sure I say this. So we are giving away a starter kit plus a new Stamp It Yourself charm bracelet so that you can use with any of the charms that we make as a stitch marker.
Cool.
So you'll have to head to the blog post that we have for today, and you'll see the instructions on how to enter for that there. It's not up yet because we just got confirmation of it. So I'm going to get it up as soon as this video is over, but then you'll be able to go and enter there. You will need to give us your email address for this giveaway, which we will be sharing with Impress Art and then also adding to the Marley Bird newsletter. That's the only caveat with this one, but you can enter to win the starter kit, and we'll also have that linked in the blog post. You can see it and purchase it if you want to.
That's cool. That is so fun. I love it. So there are ideas of people, they've said putting the like buttons on hats to
Yes.
like, you know, decorate hats and such. I could absolutely see that. So much fun. I mean, like I said, I honestly have walked through the aisles and seen tools like this. I mean, if not just this, and thought to myself, wow, that's really neat. But I mean, I've got so much stuff already. I'm like, oh, and I don't know how to do it. So I'm just not sure that, you know, I would do it. And then here we are, you know how, and I mean, it's amazing. Right. It's pretty cool.
I mean, and if you want to, I'm just going to throw this out there. Can they see my phone still? Mm-hmm. So if you would take this blank, right, and instead of leaving the one hole here, if you punch your own hole in this side, you can get custom stamps that you could do your logo, and you could stamp like your logo on here and sew that onto every piece that you make if you're going to sell something or something along those lines as well. So there really are a lot of options of what you can do with these blanks.
That's cool. That's a cool idea. I love it. So much fun. So in order for them to have a chance to win a prize, they have to go to the blog post and leave a comment there. So there's no prize for the live today. It's all
right. And it's not going to be a comment. It's going to be a link that they put their email address in, and then that's all you need to do is just give us your email address.
Okay. See, even I need clarification sometimes.
I know awesome. They're each a little different depending on the company and how they wanted to work it. So sorry guys, we're just trying to get you some cool stuff.
I love it. I love it so much. Everybody is loving this. So fun to learn even more. Penny Herbert says this is another great tutorial, and I have to absolutely agree. So we're going to pose the question once again. Is this event something that you guys are really enjoying, the DIY stitch marker event make along? And if so, is this also something where you would like to pre-purchase kits so that you could work along with Caitlin as we do these stitch markers, sort of like a class. Part of me, as we're navigating this world that we're all really online more than ever before, I know that there are more class type structures, and maybe that's even another route to go about trying this stuff out. I mean, I have no idea, so I would love to know what you guys think. Is this something where you would like maybe like a couple hour class, you'd like to purchase a kit and this would be a paid for class? Is this something where you just would like a 20-minute tutorial but you could get a kit, or an event like this? Kind of talk to us, give us ideas what you're looking for, and better yet, when you make these items, because I know there's already some of you minions in the Facebook group are making them. Did you see the macrame ones?
I did not.
Yes, they're macrame ones already made.
I have to look.
So people are just like, ooh, I'm ready to do this. Because I mean, if you guys don't know, I already have a couple other stitch marker videos out there, just of the stitch markers, how I do them. Like, I'm not a professional. I think I even say that in the video, just like, this is how I do it. And so people have been doing those for a while, but it just gets those creative juices going, and it kind of has a step away from the yarn a little bit, but not too far, because we're making something for the yarn, and it's exciting to see all that. So as you're making these items, make sure you use #MarleyBird, so that way we can see what you're making. And then as your friends ask you, oh, that's really cool, how'd you learn to do that? Please share the link with them, whether it's the blog post, to the video that you learned, whatever it may be. That is a great way for you to show your support to us, because that's the best way we can get our I want to say our message, but that's not it. Like our get out there. You know, you are part of our marketing tools, you guys. So all the help you can give us is greatly appreciated. So Caitlin, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a ton of fun. We're back here again on Monday with another project. We're here all next week. I'm just double checking. Yeah, we're on schedule to be here all next week at noon. There's no podcast next week. This is going to take the place of the podcast on Tuesday. But so we've got another great lineup of 5 new techniques to be talking about next week.
Awesome. I know people asked me about the really simple stitch markers I used for the sock along. Maybe we could do one of those one day, because I mean, even I could show those.
Sure.
Pretty simple stuff. Well, other than that, I'm going to say thank you so much and remind everybody, please give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you have not subscribed already. And yeah, that's it. Oh, one more thing. Can I just share one more thing? So you're getting a sneak peek, you guys. So I have a new hat that is going live today. Can you see that really awesome stitch? The new video is getting uploaded right now. It will be available later on today. It takes 1 ball of Chic Sheep. It's a really fun hat. So make sure that you check that out. Give it a thumbs up, get the free pattern, or purchase the ad-free PDF, whatever floats your boat. But you are the first to know. You are literally the first to see it outside of my little group of testers. So hopefully you like it. I think it's pretty awesome.
You could put it in the mail.
Can you see that? It looks like a fishtail braid.
Yeah.
Isn't that neat?
It's very beautiful.
I love it. I'm calling it the double dip ribbed hat, you guys. Double dip ribbed hat. All right. So that's really going to be it. You have a great weekend, Caitlin. Everybody else have a wonderful weekend. I can't wait to see what you create. I'll talk to all of you very soon. Bye.